Space Marines are the Emperor's finest warriors, but the Carcharodons are something else entirely. Their armor bears no honors, only kill marks too numerous to count. With each passing decade in the void, their humanity slips away, replaced by something ancient and predatory. The other chapters whisper about them, afraid to learn what happens when Astartes are left alone too long in the darkness. What if the Carcharodons aren't corrupted, but simply showing what all Space Marines will become? The hunger never leaves us. It simply waits for the right moment to surface. I am Brother Sergeant Cows of the Carcharodons Astra. The Void Hunters, the Grey Ones. We have many names among the stars. Most whispered in terror. All of them earned in blood. None of them capture what we truly are, what I have become, what we all become in time. My armor is slate gray and unmarked, save for the kill markings etched into my pauldron. Each a memory, each a life taken, too many to count now, too many to remember individually. They blur together in a crimson haze. Names and faces lost to the void just as we are. Our strike cruiser, Silent Requiem, drifts through the endless black of the void. A predator without equal, without mercy. Our home for decades now. I cannot recall the last time we made contact with the greater Imperium. Perhaps it is better that way. They would not recognize us now. I am not certain I would recognize myself. The ship has changed us. Or perhaps we have changed it. The corridors are dark, perpetually dim to preserve power, but also because our eyes prefer it this way. We see better in darkness now. Hunt better. The air reclamation systems pump a thin mist through the decks that tastes of salt and iron. It reminds us of a home none of us remember. A place of endless oceans and abyssal trenches. I sometimes dream of it. Vast waters stretching beyond comprehension. Things moving in the depths, ancient and patient, waiting. I walk the silent corridors during ship night. Most of the human crew are asleep in their quarters. The few I encounter press themselves against bulkheads as I pass, their eyes averted, their breathing shallow. Fear radiates from them in waves that my transhuman senses detect easily, like prey animals scenting an apex predator. They are right to fear. We are not what we once were. What the Imperium believes us to be. Some nights the hunger grows so strong that I consider hunting them, taking one, just one, to quiet the whispers in my mind, to calm the tremors in my hands, to sate the thirst that no water can quench. But I resist, not from compassion, not from restraint, but because they are essential. The mortal crew maintains the silent requiem, tends to its ancient systems, performs the rituals and rites that keep it operational in the void between stars. Without them, we would be stranded. Without prey, without purpose, without feeding. So they live for now, though fewer in number with each passing year. Accidents, disappearances, unfortunate incidents that no one investigates too closely, that no one speaks of in anything above a whisper. Chapter Master Tiberos summoned me to the Strategium 3 rotations ago. His massive Terminator armor makes him seem more machine than man, more monster than Astartes. The Red Wake they call him. I have served under his command for over a century now. I have watched him grow more distant, more cold, more hungry. His helm never leaves his head now, not in the presence of others. Rumors circulate among the brothers that his face has changed, transformed, that his teeth have elongated to the point where he can no longer speak properly, that his eyes have adapted for the darkness of the deep void, that he is more predator now than transhuman. I believe these rumors. I have seen similar changes in the mirror, in the polished surface of my armor, in the reflection of my blade. Small changes, incremental, but unmistakable. We are becoming something else, something older, something truer to our genetic legacy, to the curse hidden in our gene seed. We have been tasked with the pacification of Vorinth Secundus, a mining world that has fallen to sedition, the planetary governor executed, the tithes unpaid, the imperial creed abandoned. At least that is what we have been told. That is always what we are told. It matters little. We require little justification for what we do, for what we are. The astropathic message originated from the administratum, the orders bearing the seal of a high lord. Or so we are led to believe. The truth is that such communications are easily falsified, especially out here in the darkness beyond imperial oversight, beyond accountability. I suspect the chapter master himself may have fabricated the order, created the pretext, chosen the target not for strategic importance or security concerns, but for suitability for feeding, for the particular qualities of its population, for the terror they will generate when the Carcharodons descend from the void. The mortal crew avoid us now. They scurry through the corridors like prey animals, eyes downcast, breath held, hearts pounding in their fragile chests. They know what we are. They have seen the aftermath of our bloodings, the ritual combats that grow more frequent with each passing year. The savagery increasing, the restraint diminishing. They know we are becoming something else, something worse. Mortals have their uses beyond maintaining the ship. They provide contrast, reminders of what we were, what we have transcended, what we have sacrificed to become weapons of the Imperium. Their weakness highlights our strength. Their fear emphasizes our mastery. Their mortality underscores our timeless purpose, and occasionally they provide other services. Test subjects for the apothecaries, practice targets for the neophytes, objects of study to better understand the effect we have on baseline humans, to refine our methods of terror, of breaking populations before we even make planetfall. I sit alone in my quarters, sharpening my combat blade. The repetitive motion calms the whispers in my mind, the hunger that claws at my consciousness. Through the bulkhead, I can hear Brother Narek pacing in his chamber. Back and forth, like a caged animal. His breathing ragged, his restraint wearing thin. We have been too long without combat, without release, without blood. The blade gleams in the dim light. Ancient, well-maintained, a relic from a time I barely recall. When I was freshly elevated from scout to full battle brother, before the hunger took root, before the whispers began, before the curse manifested fully in my blood and bone and brain. The edge is now sharp enough to split a hair, to sever arteries with minimal pressure, to open throats with surgical precision. I have tested it many times on many subjects. It never disappoints. Brother Narek has grown worse in recent months. His self-control deteriorating rapidly. Last cycle, he attacked a shipser for no reason beyond proximity, beyond opportunity, beyond hunger. It took 3 battle brothers to restrain him, to prevent him from feeding, from exposing what we have become. He was confined to his quarters, given chemical suppressants by the apothecaries. But they are losing effectiveness now, as they do for all of us eventually. Nothing quiets the hunger permanently. Nothing satisfies the genetic imperative encoded in our very cells. Nothing but blood, but feeding, but hunting. It was not always this way. I remember a time when I was different. When we were different, when the Carcharodons served with cold efficiency, when we were feared but respected. When the hunger was manageable, controlled. Now it dominates our every thought, our every action. It consumes us as surely as we consume others. Those memories grow distant now, faded like ancient parchment, brittle and yellowed and incomplete. I strain to recall the faces of battle brothers long dead. The sensation of standing in sunlight without the overwhelming urge to hunt, to kill, to feed. The feeling of purpose beyond satiation, of service to something greater than the hunger. It seems like another life now. Another self, a stranger wearing my name but untouched by the curse that defines me now. That defines all who bear the gene seed of the Carcharodons. That will define all space marines in time. When the truth can no longer be denied. When the Emperor's light fades completely. When the pretense falls away and only the hunger remains. The ship shudders as we translate from the warp. Reality reasserts itself around us. Stars appear in the void outside my viewport. Vorinth Secundus awaits. Its fate already decided before we ever arrived. Before the first drop pod breaks atmosphere. Before the first bolt round is fired. Before the first throat is torn out. This is not justice. This is not punishment. This is feeding. Alarms sound throughout the silent requiem. Not warning of danger or malfunction. Simply announcing our arrival in real space. The beginning of the hunt, the proximity of prey, the opportunity for release, for satiation, for momentary respite from the ever-present hunger that defines our existence. I feel my twin hearts accelerate slightly. My enhanced physiology responding to the prospect of combat, of violence, of blood. Reports flow into the strategium. Automated systems scanning the system for threats, for defenses, for anything that might interfere with the hunt. Vorinth Secundus appears as expected. A mining world of moderate value to the Imperium. A population of several billion concentrated in sprawling hive cities. PDF forces of average strength and equipment. Orbital defenses minimal. Resistance projected to be token at best. Pathetic at worst. Not a challenge, not a concern, merely a formality to be overcome before the feeding begins. I don my helm. The ancient auto-senses hum to life. The targeting reticule flickers with machine spirit hunger of its own. My chain's word vibrates in anticipation, in eagerness. I wonder sometimes if our weapons feel it, too. The need, the compulsion, the hunger. My warplate is a masterwork of artifice. Artificer armor passed down through generations of Void brothers, each adding their own modifications, their own enhancements, their own rituals of maintenance and consecration. The ceramite plates bear microfractures and repairs from countless engagements, countless hunts, countless feedings. The helm lenses glow a dull red in the darkness of my chamber. The auto-senses whirring as they calibrate to my neural patterns, to my specific physiology, to the changes that have manifested in recent decades. Changes the armor acknowledges, adapts to, perhaps even encourages. The briefing is short, perfunctory. We know our role. We know what is expected. The strike plan is displayed on the tactical hololith. Drop zones marked. Primary targets identified. Expected resistance outlined. It will not matter. Plans rarely survive contact with the enemy. And our plans are not meant for efficiency. They are meant for maximum terror, maximum bloodshed, maximum feeding. Brother Captain Vorgith speaks in clipped sentences. His voice a low growl through his Vox grill. He outlines primary objectives, secondary targets, extraction protocols, all standard, all familiar, all meaningless compared to the true purpose of this mission. The release of the hunger, the maintenance of our genetic stability through bloodshed, the feeding that keeps us functional, that prevents us from turning on each other as has happened in the past when too long between prey worlds. When the hunger grows too strong to resist. When brother turns on brother in the darkness of the ship corridors. When blood is spilled and bone is broken, and the truth of what we are can no longer be denied even among ourselves. I study the tactical display with practiced attention. Note the major population centers, the defensive emplacements, the escape routes likely to be clogged with fleeing civilians when the assault begins. When the terror takes hold, when the people of Vorinth Secundus realize what has come for them from the darkness between the stars. My task is Sector 4, a residential district adjacent to a primary manufacturum complex, densely populated. Minimal defenses, maximum terror potential, maximum feeding potential. I memorize the layout, the approach vectors, the kill zones, all while the hunger whispers, while the curse stirs in my blood. While the genetic memory encoded in my cells awakens in anticipation of release. We stand in silence in the drop bay. 20 brothers of the 4th Company, the Void Reapers. My squad, my responsibility. I look at their armor, once uniformly gray, now mottled with darker patches, self-applied camouflage patterns that resemble the skin of ancient Terran predators. Abyssal hunters from a forgotten ocean world. Our distant ancestors perhaps in more ways than one. Brother Vor stands at my right shoulder. A veteran of 3 centuries. His armor more black than gray now. The joints stained with the blood of countless victims that no amount of cleansing rituals can remove. His helm modified with additional sensory arrays that give it the appearance of a predatory creature from ancient Terra. Sharks, they were called. Apex hunters of the ocean depths. A fitting symbol for what we have become, what we have always been beneath the veneer of imperial compliance, of codex adherence, of humanity. Brother Maklo occupies my left flank, younger than most, only a century of service, but the hunger manifests strongly in him already, his control tenuous at best. His bloodlust barely contained beneath the surface. His armor bears tallies of kills that exceed many veterans, not from skill or circumstance, but from enthusiasm, from indulgence, from giving himself over to the hunger more completely than most dare. Than most can, while maintaining the facade of Astartes discipline, of transhuman restraint, of being something other than what we truly are. Brother Shrike stands apart from the others. A loner even among a chapter of isolated hunters. His helm never removed even in the privacy of his quarters. Rumors circulate about what lies beneath, about mutations, about adaptive changes that go beyond even what the rest of us experience, about a face no longer recognizably human, no longer Astartes, but something else. Something older, something truer to the genetic legacy encoded in our gene seed. To the curse that defines us, that damns us, that makes us what we are. I can sense their hunger, their need. It radiates from them like heat, their breathing synchronized, their hearts beating as one, a hunting pack ready to be unleashed. I should feel pride. Instead, I feel only dread. I know what we will do on the surface. What we always do, what we must do to keep the deeper hunger at bay. The genetic flaw that defines us, that damns us. The drop pods slam shut around us. The restraints lock into place. The launch countdown begins. My enhanced hearing picks up the sound of Brother Vor grinding his teeth. Of Brother Maklo flexing his gauntlets until the ceramite cracks. Of Brother Shrike whispering a prayer that sounds more like a growl. They are losing themselves. We all are. The interior of the drop pod is cramped even for baseline humans. For an Astartes in full battle plate, it is claustrophobic, intentionally so perhaps to focus the mind, to eliminate distractions, to compress the hunger into something approaching control, something resembling purpose, something that can be directed rather than merely unleashed. The metal restraints creak under the strain of containing transhuman physiology, enhanced further by barely suppressed bloodlust, by genetic imperatives older than the Imperium itself, by the curse that makes us the most effective killers in the Emperor's arsenal and the most dangerous to those we are sworn to protect. Ancient machinery whines as the final launch sequence initiates. Warnings blare through Vox speakers. Machine spirits awakening to their purpose after dormancy. After waiting, after hunger of their own, perhaps. The deck plates vibrate beneath our boots. The gravity generators fluctuate as power is diverted to launch systems, to void shields, to the technologies that will deliver us to the surface, to the hunting grounds, to the feeding. The launch shakes us violently. We hurtle through the void toward the planet below, toward blood, toward release, toward momentary salvation from the curse that plagues us. I close my eyes behind my helm and remember a verse from the litany of control taught to all neophytes. Words meant to center us, to remind us of our purpose, to hold back the darkness within. We are the hunters in the void. We are the judgment of the Emperor. We are the last sight of the heretic and the alien. We are death from above and vengeance from below. We strike without warning and leave only silence in our wake. The words ring hollow now. A pretense, a lie we tell ourselves. We are not justice. We are not vengeance. We are hunger incarnate. We are predators unleashed. We are what happens when the Emperor's finest are left too long in the darkness. The litany of control was composed centuries ago when the first signs of genetic degradation appeared in our chapter. When the first brothers began to show symptoms of the hunger beyond normal Astartes aggression, beyond the controlled violence of Imperial agents, beyond the sanctioned brutality of the Emperor's executioners. When we first began to understand what we were becoming, what we had always been beneath the hypno-indoctrination and the psycho-conditioning and the forced loyalty to an Imperium that created us as weapons and then feared what they had made. Other verses surface in my mind, not the official litany, not the words taught to neophytes or spoken in the presence of other chapters on the rare occasions we interact with a broader Adeptus Astartes. These are the hidden verses, the secret knowledge, the truth passed from veteran to veteran in the darkness between stars, in the silence between hunts, in the void between feedings. We are the ancient hunger given form. We are the abyssal truth of what waits in all men. We are the darkness that preceded light and will outlast its fading. We hunt not for glory or duty or honor, but because it is what we are, what we have always been. What all will become when the stars grow cold and only the hunger remains. These words resonate more truly now. Speak more honestly to what we have become, to what the Carcharodons Astra truly are. Beneath the pretense of imperial service, of emperor's mercy, of anything resembling humanity, the drop pod crashes through the atmosphere. The heat shield glows white-hot. The internal temperature rises despite the environmental systems. Sweat beads on my forehead beneath my helm. Or perhaps it is anticipation. The hunt begins soon. The feeding follows after. The ancient machine shudders as atmospheric friction battles void shielding, as gravity asserts its dominance over propulsion systems designed to counter it. As reality attempts to destroy this intrusion from the cold void. The noise is deafening even to transhuman hearing enhanced by auto-sensors. The vibration intense enough to rattle teeth, to blur vision, to disorient any being not conditioned for this precise mode of deployment, of insertion, of hunting. Warning runes flash across my helm display. Altitude readings, temperature gauges, atmospheric composition analysis, all standard, all expected, all irrelevant compared to the proximity of prey, of feeding, of release from the ever-present hunger that defines our existence, that consumes our every thought, that motivates our every action. The drop pod compensatory systems engage. Retro thrusters firing. Stabilization gyros activating. Attempting to transform an uncontrolled meteorite into a precision delivery system, into a weapon of terror, into a harbinger of extinction for those below who have yet to comprehend what descends upon them from the darkness of the void. Impact. The drop pod slams into the ground with enough force to shatter stone. The doors blow outward on explosive bolts. We emerge into chaos, into gunfire, into screams, into blood. Always blood. Vorinth Secundus burns around us. The Hive City, a maze of manufactorum complexes and hab blocks. Smoke fills the air. Sirens wail. The local PDF troops have responded to our landing. They fire upon us with lasguns and autoguns, primitive weapons, ineffective against Astartes' armor, against Astartes' purpose, against Astartes' hunger. The impact zone is a crater of broken rockcrete and shattered infrastructure. Water mains burst, sending geysers skyward. Power conduits sever, creating cascades of sparks. Civilians flee in all directions, panicked, terrified, uncomprehending of what has arrived, of what hunts them now, of what will feed upon their fear and their flesh and their futile resistance. I activate my auspex, scan for threats, for prey, for feeding opportunities. The display shows hundreds of human life signs in the immediate vicinity, clustered in hab blocks, in communal shelters, in improvised defensive positions that will not save them, that will only concentrate them for more efficient slaughter, for more effective feeding. The hunger stirs at the proximity of so much prey, so much potential satiation, so much blood to be spilled. I raise my bolt pistol and fire without conscious thought. The round takes a PDF officer through the chest. Explosive detonation turning his torso into red mist. His men falter. They hesitate. Fatal mistake. We are upon them before they can recover. Chains words roaring. Combat blades flashing. Ceramite gauntlets crushing. I move through them like a nightmare given form. Each kill precise. Clinical. The hunger momentarily satisfied with each life taken. But my brothers have given themselves over entirely. Brother Vor has discarded his bolter. He tears at the enemy with his bare hands, ripping limbs, crushing skulls, blood coating his gauntlets up to the elbows. Brother Maklo fires his bolt pistol point blank into the face of a fleeing civilian. Unnecessary, inefficient, indulgent. Brother Shrike stands atop a pile of corpses, roaring his victory to the smoke-filled sky. This is not war. This is not even slaughter. This is something else. Something primal. Something beneath the dignity of the Adeptus Astartes. And yet I feel the pull of it. The desire to join them in their abandon. To give myself over to the genetic memory that courses through our blood. To become the thing we pretend we are not. I watch as Brother Maklo pursues a group of civilians through the wreckage of a hab block. His movements predatory, calculated, not the direct efficiency of a space marine eliminating targets, but the stalking pattern of a hunter prolonging the chase, savoring the terror, the panic, the desperation. He could end them with a single burst from his bolt pistol. Instead, he herds them, corrals them, forces them into dead ends and tight spaces where their fear becomes palpable, where their screams reach crescendo, where their deaths can be drawn out, savored, fed upon. Brother Vor has abandoned all pretense of tactical advance, of strategic objective, of anything resembling a military operation. He simply kills anything that moves, anything that lives, anything that can bleed. PDF troopers, civilians, servitors, even local fauna caught in the combat zone, all fall before his unrelenting savagery, his unquenchable hunger, his undeniable truth. Brother Shrike moves differently, with purpose that appears tactical, but serves a deeper need. He isolates individual PDF squad leaders, officers, anyone with authority or control. He eliminates them with precision, with focus, with a clinical detachment that would seem codex compliant if not for what follows. The taking of trophies, small bones, teeth, fragments of armor or uniform, ritual items not sanctioned by any imperial dogma, by any chaplain or librarian, by anything but the hunger and the genetic memory it awakens. I activate the squad vox. My voice sounds strange to my own ears. Strained, controlled, barely human. Maintain discipline. Secure the landing zone. Establish a perimeter. Remember your training. Remember your purpose. They respond slowly, reluctantly. The bloodlust ebbing just enough for obedience to reassert itself. But I see the way they move, the tension in their posture, the hunger not sated, but merely paused, waiting. Brother Maclo turns toward me, his helm expressionless, yet somehow conveying disappointment, frustration, the denial of feeding opportunity, a full expression of the hunger that drives him, that defines him. That is him in his most honest form. He speaks through the Vox channel, his voice distorted by bloodlust and the limitations of mechanical reproduction. The prey is plentiful, Brother Sergeant, the hunting rich. Why constrain ourselves with protocol that serves no purpose here? That denies what we are, what we have always been. His words echo the whispers in my own mind. The call of the genetic memory encoded in our very selves. The truth of the Carcharodons that we pretend does not exist, that we contain within ritual and discipline and hypno-conditioning that grows less effective with each passing cycle, with each feeding, with each expression of what we truly are. Brother Vor simply growls his displeasure, his agreement with Maclo evident in the tension of his posture, in the flexing of his blood-slick gauntlets, in the way he scans for further prey despite the order to secure the landing zone, to establish a perimeter, to remember training and purpose that increasingly seem irrelevant, false, a pretense maintained for appearance rather than function, for tradition rather than necessity, for a lie rather than the truth of what we are. Brother Shrike says nothing, does nothing, simply stares at me through his modified helm lenses, the silence more condemning than any words could be, more honest about the reality we all know but rarely speak aloud. That the Carcharodons are not like other chapters, not like other Astartes, not weapons to be aimed and controlled, but predators to be unleashed. Apex hunters fulfilling their genetic destiny, their true purpose, their inescapable nature. I maintain my stance, my authority, my pretense of control over them and myself, over the hunger that claws at my consciousness with increasing intensity, that demands satiation, that defines our existence more truly than any imperial creed or codex protocol or hypno-indoctrination implanted by long-dead chaplains who did not understand what they were creating, what they were preserving, what they were setting loose upon an unsuspecting galaxy. We advance through the hive city methodically, building to building, street to street. The resistance increases. Organized defensive positions, heavy weapons, armored vehicles. They fight with the desperation of the damned, as if they know what awaits them should they fail. Perhaps they do. Perhaps our reputation precedes us. Perhaps they know the Carcharodons leave no survivors, take no prisoners, offer no mercy. Local PDF forces have established a defensive line along a major thoroughfare, barricades of debris and disabled vehicles, heavy weapon emplacements, even a Lehman Russ battle tank salvaged from some forgotten Imperial Guard depot. They have gathered their most experienced troops, their best equipment, their strongest resolve. It will not be enough. It is never enough. Not against what we are, what we bring with us from the darkness between the stars. What hunger drives us to inflict upon any who stand before us, upon any who breathe, who bleed, who feed the genetic imperative that defines our existence. Autoguns bark, lost guns whine, heavy bolters chatter. The Lehman Russ main battle cannon roars, all directed at our advance. All seeking to stem the gray tide of death that flows toward them with implacable purpose, with unstoppable hunger, with the certainty of apex predators who know their prey cannot escape, cannot resist, cannot survive. Lost beams strike my armor, leaving scorch marks on the ancient ceramite. Solid rounds ricochet with metallic pings. Shrapnel from near misses stings exposed joints and seals, all recorded by autosenses, all deemed inconsequential by combat stims and pain suppressors. All irrelevant compared to the proximity of prey, of feeding, of momentary satiation, of the hunger that never truly leaves, that only waits for the right moment to surface, to dominate, to define. I lead from the front as I always have. Bolt pistol barking death. Chainsword reaping lives. My squad follows in a loose arrowhead formation. Deadly, efficient, but I can sense the fraying of their control. The way they linger over kills. The way they take trophies, small bones, scraps of cloth, locks of hair, rituals not sanctioned by the Codex Astartes. Behaviors that would see other chapters censured, investigated, perhaps even declared excommunicate traitores. Brother Vor charges directly into the heaviest concentration of enemy fire. His armor-absorbing punishment that would destroy lesser protection, that would kill less enhanced warriors. Lost beams reflect from his shoulder guards. Solid rounds flatten against his chest plate. Even direct hits from the heavy bolter merely slow his advance, stagger his stride. He cares not for tactics or strategy or even self-preservation. Only for proximity to prey, to blood, to feeding. Brother Maklo maintains better discipline, uses cover appropriately, advances in tactical bounds, but his target selection betrays his true purpose. Not the heavy weapon operators who pose the greatest threat, not the officers coordinating the defense, but those who show the most fear, who radiate the most terror, whose deaths will break morale most effectively, whose suffering will feed the hunger most satisfyingly. Brother Shrike disappears entirely from the main advance. His signal on the tactical display moving to the flank, seeking weakness, opportunity, access to prey beyond the defensive line, beyond organized resistance. Beyond those prepared to die, fighting to those who hide, who cower, who provide purer expressions of terror when discovered, when hunted, when fed upon. The Leman Russ targets me specifically. Recognizing command presence perhaps. Identifying the head of the beast in hopes of slowing its advance, of weakening its purpose. The main battle cannon fires. The shell impacting 5 meters to my right, cratering the rockcrete, sending lethal fragments in all directions. My armor absorbs most. My enhanced physiology the rest. I am staggered but unbowed. Unconcerned. The hunger provides focus that overrides pain, that negates distraction, that drives me ever forward toward prey, toward feeding, toward momentary respite from the curse that defines our existence. I signal to brothers Toros and Grimm, veterans who maintain better control than most, who can still function tactically despite the hunger that plagues us all. They understand without words, without explicit orders. We have hunted together too many times to require such crude communication, such obvious direction. We are a pack. Hunters bonded by blood and gene seed and shared hunger. We split away from the main assault. Circle wide around the defensive line. Using rubble and smoke and confusion as cover, as concealment, as opportunity to flank the prey that believes itself safe behind barricades and heavy weapons and armored support. That does not understand the nature of what hunts them, the purpose that drives us, the hunger that defines us. We approach the Leman Russ from behind. From its vulnerable rear quarter where the armor is thinnest, where the engine compartment provides access to vital systems, to crew, to blood. Brother Toros carries Melta charges for precisely this purpose. Not standard equipment for a Space Marine squad, not Codex-approved deployment loadout, but effective for our specific hunting methodology, for our unique approach to combat, to feeding. The charges are placed with precision born of centuries of similar actions, similar hunts, similar feedings. The detonation is contained, focused, deliberate. The rear armor plate buckles inward. The engine dies with a mechanical scream that almost matches the human ones that follow after. We enter through the breach, through the smoke and flames and twisted metal, into the confined space where the crew cannot bring weapons to bear, cannot escape, cannot resist the inevitable outcome of apex predators in an enclosed space with prey. What follows is not combat, not warfare, not even execution. It is feeding in its purest form. Its most honest expression, its most satisfying manifestation. Blood slicks the interior of the tank. Pools beneath our boots, drips from our gauntlets and combat blades and the teeth of our chains words. The crew die not as soldiers facing enemies, but as prey succumbing to predators, to hunger incarnate, to the truth of what the Carcharodons are beneath the veneer of imperial sanction, of Astartes' nobility, of human origin. We emerge from the wreckage of the Lehman Russ as the main defensive line collapses. As my brothers overwhelm the barricades through sheer transhuman physicality, through unstoppable momentum, through hunger that cannot be denied by mere weapons or defenses or mortal determination. The PDF survivors flee in disarray, in terror, in the sudden horrific understanding of what has descended upon their world from the darkness between the stars. What hunts them now without mercy or restraint or purpose beyond feeding, beyond satiation, beyond the genetic imperative that drives us ever forward through blood and death and extinction of all who stand before us. Hours pass. The city falls district by district. The PDF breaks before us. Some flee, most die. Blood slicks the rockcrete streets. Bodies pile in doorways and alleyways. The smell of death hangs heavy in the air. Promethium fires rage unchecked through hab blocks. Civilians cower in hiding places that will not save them. This is not pacification. This is extinction. We move methodically through the hive spire, sector by sector, level by level. The resistance diminishes with each passing hour, with each demonstration of our unstoppable advance, of our unquenchable hunger, of our undeniable truth. The PDF forces that remain are isolated, uncoordinated, leaderless. They fight from desperation rather than discipline. From the knowledge that surrender is not an option, that captivity is not offered, that only death awaits. Regardless of resistance or submission or pleading or prayer to an emperor who cannot hear them, who would not intervene even if he could, who created us as we are, as weapons without conscience, as hunters without restraint, as hunger without end. I check the tactical display periodically. Monitor the progress of other squads, other hunting packs deployed across the hive city. The pattern is clear, unmistakable. We are not securing strategic assets, not capturing vital infrastructure, not establishing control in any conventional military sense. We are hunting, killing, feeding, moving always toward concentrations of prey, of terror, of blood to be spilled and lives to be taken and hunger to be momentarily sated before it inevitably returns, before it always returns, before it eternally returns. Brother Maklo has not voxed his position in over an hour. The tactical display shows him deep in residential sectors, away from any legitimate military target, any strategic objective, any purpose beyond feeding on the most vulnerable, the most terrified, the most satisfying prey for the hunger that defines him, that consumes him, that is him in his most honest form. Brother Vor maintains nominal contact, but his reports are increasingly incoherent. Bestial, more growl than speech, more hunger than purpose. He follows orders in the technical sense, advances on assigned vectors, secures designated sectors. But the manner of securing betrays his true nature, his true purpose, his true self beneath the trappings of Astartes' discipline and imperial service and human origin. Brother Shrike has gone completely dark. No Vox contact, no tactical telemetry, no indication of position or status or purpose. This is not unprecedented, not unexpected, not even concerning in conventional military terms. He has always operated thus on the edges of the hunt, in the shadows beyond oversight, in the darkness where the hunger can express itself most honestly, most completely, most satisfyingly. I should report these deviations from Codex Protocol, from tactical doctrine, from chain of command. I should maintain the pretense of Space Marine discipline, of imperial service, of anything beyond the hunger that drives us all, that defines us all, that consumes us all. I do not, cannot, will not. For I understand the truth now more clearly than ever before, than any of us have in generations, in centuries, perhaps since the chapter's founding in the forgotten past, where our true origins lie buried beneath myth and legend and deliberate obscuration by those who feared what they had created, what they had preserved, what they had unleashed. The Carcharodons are not like other chapters. We do not serve the Imperium as they do. We do not follow the Codex Astartes as they claim to. We do not maintain our humanity as they pretend to. We are something else, something older, something truer to the genetic legacy encoded in our gene seed, to the curse that defines us, that damns us, that makes us what we are. We are predators, hunters, monsters in truth rather than metaphor. We kill not for duty or honor or even hatred, but for sustenance of a kind that transcends mere physical nourishment. That feeds something in our altered DNA, in our modified neurochemistry, in our transhuman yet increasingly inhuman essence. We need the blood, the death, the terror, as others need food or water or air. It maintains us, sustains us, prevents the genetic degradation that awaits all who bear our gene seed should they go too long without proper feeding, without proper hunting, without proper expression of what we truly are. Night falls. The darkness, a comfort to our enhanced senses. We move like ghosts through the ruins, hunting the last organized resistance. A fortified administratum building where the planetary leadership has taken refuge. Where they believe the thick walls and heavy doors will protect them. Where they pray to the Emperor for deliverance that will never come. The transition from day to night means nothing to our autosenses, to our transhuman physiology, to our increasingly adapted biology that seems to prefer the darkness, that operates more efficiently in absence of light, that perhaps reflects our true nature more honestly than we care to acknowledge even among ourselves. But it means everything to the prey. To the humans who cannot see in the absolute darkness of a hive city whose power grid has failed, whose infrastructure has collapsed, whose existence as a functioning population center has effectively ended with our arrival from the void. Their fear spikes as visibility fails. As shadows deepen, as strange sounds echo through abandoned streets and ruined buildings and collapsed blocks, sounds of ceramite boots on broken rockcrete, of chain blades idling, of transhuman breathing through rebreather grills, of predators closing in on prey that has exhausted its ability to flee, to hide, to resist what must inevitably follow. What always follows when the Carcharodons descend from the darkness between stars. When the hunger is set loose upon a population, when the feeding begins in earnest without pretense or restraint or purpose beyond satiation. We assemble outside. 2 squads, 40 Astartes in battle-stained armor. Brother Captain Vorgoth addresses us briefly, his voice flat, emotionless. The objective clear. No survivors, no witnesses, no evidence that can be traced back to us. This is not an Imperial-sanctioned action. This is feeding. This is maintenance of our genetic stability through bloodshed. This is the price of our continued existence. The truth of our mission laid bare at last. Not pacification of a seditious world. Not punishment of Imperial lawbreakers. Not restoration of compliance or recovery of strategic assets or any of the other pretexts offered for our deployment, for our unleashing, for our feeding. This is purely about satiation of the hunger that threatens to consume us from within if not directed outward. That degrades our genetic stability when denied proper expression. That defines the Carcharodons more honestly than any Imperial creed or codex protocol or hypno-indoctrination can suppress, can contain, can control. I look at my brothers assembled in the darkness, their armor slick with blood that the night conceals but cannot eliminate, cannot cleanse, cannot absolve. They stand differently now than at the mission start. More relaxed, more natural, more true to what they are beneath the trappings of Astartes' identity, of Imperial service, of human origin. They have fed well this day, this night, this hunting cycle. The hunger momentarily quieted, temporarily sated, inevitably to return as it always does, as it always will, as it always must. The assault is brief, savage, complete. I move through the corridors of the administratum building, executing anyone I encounter. Officials in fine robes, security personnel in carapace armor, servitors mindlessly continuing their duties amidst the slaughter. All fall before us, all feed the hunger. The administratum building is a monument to imperial bureaucracy, to human organizational complexity, to civilization that exists only because predators like us permit it to, protect it against other predators, other hunters, other threats from the void beyond. The irony does not escape me as my chain's word tears through the flesh of those who maintain the system, who believe in its permanence, who cannot conceive of its fragility in the face of what we represent, what we embody, what we truly are. Marble floors slick with blood, wood-paneled walls spattered with viscera, priceless artifacts and irreplaceable records destroyed in the crossfire, in the feeding, in the expression of what the Carcharodons are when unleashed fully, when permitted to manifest our true nature, our true purpose, our true selves beneath the lies we tell the Imperium, that the Imperium tells itself about us. that we tell ourselves in the quiet moments between hunts, when the hunger recedes just enough for doubt to surface, for questioning to emerge, for humanity to reassert itself in the smallest ways before being submerged again beneath the genetic imperative that defines us, that consumes us. That is us in our most honest form. I find myself in what appears to be a private study, wood-paneled walls, rare books on shelves, a large desk of actual timber. Behind it cowers a man in the uniform of the planetary governor. His replacement, perhaps, or merely an advisor. It matters little. His fate was decided the moment we entered the system. He is old for a baseline human. His hair gray, his face lined with the passage of time that affects mortals so dramatically, so definitively, so differently from how it touches an Astartes, who measure lifespans in centuries rather than decades, who age through combat and injury and exposure to warp energies rather than simple chronological accumulation, who die from bolt rounds and chainswords and plasmablasts rather than cellular degradation and organ failure and the 1,000 natural shocks that human flesh is heir to. His eyes widen as I enter the room, as he beholds fully what has come for him from the darkness between stars. A transhuman killer in ancient power armor slick with the blood of his people, his colleagues, his civilization, his species. He recognizes what I am beyond the chapter markings or the specific heraldry or the particular weapons I carry. He sees the predator beneath the trappings, the hunter behind the pretense, the hunger made manifest in ceramite and gene seed and unstoppable purpose. He begs, they always beg, for mercy, for explanation, for absolution. I have none to give. I raise my bolt pistol. His eyes widen. His mouth opens in a final plea. I pull the trigger. His head explodes in a spray of bone and brain matter against the wood paneling. His body slumps. Another kill marking for my armor. Another life to blur into the countless others. The act is perfunctory now. Routine, almost disappointing in its simplicity, in its lack of challenge, in its minimal contribution to sating the hunger that drives me, that defines me, that consumes me. A clean kill, a quick death. An efficient execution that serves tactical purpose but provides little sustenance for the deeper need encoded in my gene seed, in my altered DNA, in my increasingly inhuman essence. I stand motionless for a moment. The hunger momentarily quieted. In the silence, I hear something. A soft sound from behind a bookcase. Movement. Breathing. A heartbeat. I move the case aside with one ceramite gauntlet. Behind it, a small panic room. Inside, a woman and child, family of the man I just executed, witnesses. The woman clutches the child to her chest. The child stares at me with wide, uncomprehending eyes. I raise my bolt pistol again, my orders clear. No survivors. The hunger stirs anew, demanding, insistent. The woman does not beg. She simply closes her eyes and turns her body to shield the child, as if such a gesture could stop a bolt round. As if anything could prevent what must happen next. My finger tenses on the trigger. The targeting reticule in my helm centers on her forehead. Clean, quick, efficient. The child would follow after. 2 more lives, 2 more kill markings, 2 more offerings to the genetic curse that plagues my chapter. And yet I hesitate. I falter. I betray what I am supposed to be. In that moment of weakness, I hear something. A whisper in my mind. Not the chapter psycho-indoctrination. Not the implanted hypno-commands. Something older. Something deeper. Something that was part of the gene seed itself. Part of the legacy we carry. Part of the curse that defines us. That damns us. That makes us what we are. Hunt, kill, feed. Not for the Emperor. Not for the Imperium. Not for humanity or duty or honor or any of the lies we tell ourselves. For the hunger. Only for the hunger. Always for the hunger. For what we are beneath the trappings of loyalty and purpose. Predators. Monsters. The truth of what all space marines become when left too long in the darkness. When the Emperor's light fades enough for us to see clearly, to remember what we truly are. And in that moment of terrible clarity, I understand. The Carcharodons are not corrupted. We are not fallen. We are not traitors to the imperial truth. We are simply honest about what all Astartes are beneath the pageantry and ritual and pretense of noble purpose. We are weapons. We are killers. We are hunger incarnate. And in time, all Space Marines will become what we are, what we have always been, what we were designed to be by a creator who understood the nature of predation, of apex hunters, of what must be sacrificed to create the ultimate weapon. The gene seed that makes an Astartes possible, that transforms a human into a transhuman, that creates the Emperor's finest from mortal clay. It carries within it the seeds of its own corruption, its own degradation, its own truth beneath the conditioning and indoctrination and forced loyalty to an Imperium that created us as weapons and then feared what they had made. The hunger exists in all Space Marines, all chapters. All who bear the legacy of the Primarchs in their altered DNA, in their modified neurochemistry, in their increasingly inhuman essence. Some chapters control it better than others, contain it more effectively, justify it more convincingly through ritual and tradition and purpose beyond mere predation, beyond simple hunting, beyond the hunger in its purest form, its most honest expression, its most complete manifestation. But it exists in all of them, in all of us, in all who bear the title Adeptus Astartes. Regardless of heraldry or history or supposed loyalty to an emperor too distant to matter, too absent to control, too irrelevant to the fundamental truth of what we are, what we have always been, what we will always be when the pretense falls away, and only the darkness remains, only the void, only the hunger, eternal and unbound. The Carcharodons are merely the most honest about this reality, the least deluded about our nature, the most accepting of what we truly are beneath the lies we tell ourselves, the Imperium, each other. We hunt, we kill, we feed. Not for duty or honor or even hatred, but for sustenance of a kind that transcends mere physical nourishment. That maintains our genetic stability. That prevents the degradation that awaits all who deny the hunger for too long. That pretend to be something other than what they are, what they must be, what they will all become when the Emperor's light finally fades and only darkness remains. I lower my bolt pistol. I step back from the woman and child, not for mercy this time. Not from weakness or doubt or some vestige of humanity clinging to existence within my transhuman flesh, but because I see a greater truth, a deeper purpose, a more valuable service to the chapter, to the hunger, to what we are. I activate my Vox speed. Contact the silent requiem. Speak directly to Chapter Master Tiberos. My voice steady now. Certain. Resolved. Target eliminated. Witnesses secured. Returning with valuable intelligence. Prepare isolation chambers in the Apothecarian. My brothers look to me in confusion. In suspicion. I meet their gaze unflinchingly, uncompromisingly, with the authority of one who sees clearly, who understands the greater hunt, the deeper hunger, the true nature of what we are. Brother Narek steps forward, his combat claws still dripping with the blood of those who stood before us, who resisted our advance, who fed the hunger, however briefly, however incompletely, however unsatisfactorily compared to what he truly craves. What all Carcharodons crave. What all Astartes crave beneath the conditioning and indoctrination and forced loyalty to an Imperium that created them as weapons and then feared what they had made. The witnesses must be silenced, Brother Sergeant. The evidence eliminated. The threat to the chapter ended. We have our orders, our purpose, our hunger. His voice carries the weight of correctness, of adherence to protocol and command, and the simple reality of what we are, what we do, what drives us ever forward through the void between stars, where no light reaches, where no witness observes, where we can be what we truly are without pretense or restraint or justification. And yet I stand firm, unmoved, unchanged in my new purpose, my new understanding, my new appreciation for what the woman and child represent, not merely as threats to be eliminated, but as opportunities to be exploited, as resources to be utilized, as means to an end beyond simple predation, beyond mere hunting, beyond the hunger in its most direct expression. The woman and child will not be killed. Not immediately. They will be studied, examined, their genetic material harvested, their neural patterns mapped, their fear and terror and understanding of what we are recorded and analyzed. They are not merely witnesses to be silenced. They are specimens, data points, keys to understanding the effect we have on normal humans. The terror we generate, the primal recognition of predator that we trigger in their ancient limbic systems. Knowledge that can make us more effective, more terrifying, more true to what we are meant to be. And perhaps in time they will provide something else, something more valuable still. The woman is strong to have survived Voranth Secundus, to have faced me twice and still draw breath. The child is young, adaptable, moldable, perhaps suitable for testing, for implantation, for transformation into what we are. New blood for a chapter that has hunted too long in isolation, that has fed upon itself in the absence of suitable prey, that needs fresh genetic material to sustain itself, to slow the degradation, to maintain the hunger in its proper form rather than the twisted corruption it threatens to become. We return to the silent requiem with our specimens, with our data, with our understanding. The inquisitorial vessel burns behind us. All evidence destroyed. All witnesses eliminated save those I have chosen to preserve for study, for use, for feeding of a different kind. Chapter Master Tyberos meets us in the launch bay. His massive Terminator armor still connected to the ship systems, still feeding, still sustaining. His voice betrays no emotion through the Vox grill, no approval, no censure, only cold pragmatism, only hunger recognized and acknowledged. You understand now what we are, what we must be, what all Astartes will become when the Emperor's light finally fades. When the pretense of noble purpose falls away, when only the hunger remains. I incline my head in acknowledgement, in acceptance, in surrender to the truth I can no longer deny, to the nature I can no longer fight, to the hunger that defines me, that consumes me. That is me in my most honest form. We are the Carcharodons Astra, the Void Hunters, the Night Feeders. We are what the Emperor created when he needed monsters to fight monsters. We are what remains when all else is stripped away. We are hunger incarnate. And we will endure long after the Imperium falls. Long after humanity itself is dust. For the hunger never dies. It simply waits for the right moment to surface. In the isolation chambers of the Apothecarian, the woman and child wait. Specimens now. Test subjects. Future food for the hunger that drives us ever onward through the void, through the darkness between the stars, where no light reaches, where no witness observes, where we can be what we truly are without pretense or restraint or false purpose. I return to my quarters, clean my armor, maintain my weapons, prepare for the next hunt, the next feeding, the next expression of what I am, of what we all are, of what all Space Marines will become. When the truth can no longer be denied, when the hunger can no longer be contained, when the Emperor's light finally fades and only darkness remains. The hunger never leaves us. It simply waits for the right moment to surface. And that moment has come for me, for the chapter, for the Adeptus Astartes, for humanity itself. Night falls across the galaxy. The hunting hour is upon us. And we are what we have always been. Predators in the darkness. Hunger without end. The Carcharodons ascendant. The truth of the Space Marines laid bare at last.